Alright guys, and welcome to today's video. Myprotein athlete Mike Thurston here, and I'm going to be taking you through a number of chest exercises which you can perform to build a bigger chest. I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to do so that you can execute them to your very best ability. So the first exercise we are going to discuss is the flat barbell bench press. The most important thing, the number one rule which you need to bear in mind when doing this, is to keep your scapula fixed in place. Far too many people push and move the tension onto their shoulder, minimizing the effectiveness of the exercise, potentially running the risk of injury and not really getting a huge amount of tension on the chest. So let's talk about how we properly set up for this exercise. I'm going to start off, hands, I'd probably say just wider than shoulder width apart. Take it off the rack, and this is what you need to do straight away. Pin your shoulders back a little bit. So pin your shoulders back, expand the chest, and keep this position fixed at all times. You're going to make sure that your wrists are in line with your forearms, so like that. And then you're going to slowly lower the weight down. I would recommend pointing the elbows inwards ever so slightly, just to ensure you are safe when doing this pressing movement. You're going to bring it down to your sternum, up to the top, and try and contract your pecs as you do this. If you can't, it may require a little bit of practice. I'd recommend slowing down the tempo so you can really concentrate on everything that you're doing, and so that you have control over the pectoral muscles. If you need to, and you feel as though your shoulders are creeping forward during the movement, just pause at the top and reset again. So all the way down, up, and squeeze the pecs. If you want to maximize the tension, which should be one of your goals if you are trying to grow your chest, I would recommend when pushing to have the intention of bringing your hands together. You're not actually going to be moving your hands together because of the friction and the fact that you'll be holding the bar, but that intention of trying to bring your hands together is going to help with improving the tension on your pecs. The next exercise we're going to talk about is the dumbbell bench press. We're going to do it flat. Once again, similar principles apply. The focus is to retract the scapula, keep your shoulder fixed in place, and maintain as much tension as possible on your chest. So, first thing you need to do, get into position, start at the top, retract the scapula, and you're going to keep it fixed. Now my recommendation would be to keep your hands above your elbows at all time. As you lower the weight, bring your elbows in slightly, just for safety. Come down to the point where you feel stretch in your pec. You don't want to come too deep because you may injure yourself. I would say round about here, and then you're going to press. But as you press, don't think about pushing the weight directly in front of you. Think about bringing your elbows together, okay? Whilst keeping the hands above your elbows, you're going to press, have the intention of bringing your elbows together, and then squeeze at the top, okay? All the way down, stretch the pec, and then up, elbows together, and squeeze. So the dumbbells are above your chest, they're not above your head, okay? Above your head, you lose that tension. Keep it above the chest. All the way down, stretch it out, up, and then squeeze, okay? If you need to reset, do that. If you need to, there's nothing wrong. We're doing that in the middle of your set. Up, and squeeze. The number one mistake, I'm going to show you now what happens when most people do a pressing movement. As they bring the weight down, they fail to keep the shoulder fixed in place, and they protract, and they end up in this position here. So if you compare to my shoulder in the protracted position compared to when I was doing it before, where it's fixed, there's a huge difference. When you push forward, the tension goes onto the front delt and it goes away from your pec, okay? So we need to focus on bringing it down, keeping it fixed in place, pushing, elbows together, keeping fixed, and then squeezing the pecs at the top. Next exercise, dumbbell chest fly. A little bit controversial. Some say, oh, it's a little bit dangerous, should you be doing it? In my opinion, it's safe to do if you're doing it slow, controlled, and not lifting a ridiculous amount of weight. What we're gonna do, start, I'm doing it on an incline, so I wanna focus on my upper pec just a little bit. Hands directly above my upper chest. I'm gonna slowly lower the weight down. I'm gonna bend my elbows ever so slightly. I'm gonna try and keep as symmetrical as possible. I'm
you're gonna feel that stretch, don't go too low, so that's when you run the risk of injuring yourself. And then I'm gonna drive up, and again, focus on bringing my elbows together, squeeze at the top, okay? The whole time I'm keeping my scapula fixed in place. Down, feel the stretch, up, and then squeeze the chest, okay? Nice, slow, and controlled, okay? I'd recommend doing a 3-second negative, maybe 4, stretch, and then 2 seconds up to the top, and 1 squeeze.
To maximize the effectiveness of this exercise, my elbow is going to go in the same direction in which the muscle fibers are aligned. Because I'm trying to hit the pec fibers here, they're running across in this direction. So I want my elbow to point in the same direction which the muscle fibers are pointing. So I'm getting a nice stretch and then a good contraction once I bring my elbow up to the top and shorten the pec. The next exercise we're going to do is the notorious press up. This exercise, if done properly, can be a great tool to add to your training regime if you want to build your chest. A lot of people, again, aren't really doing this as well as they could do. The goal here is not to do as many press ups as possible. It's not like an army test. The goal is to do the most effective press up possible to build your chest. Okay, so we're trying to get all of that tension, which is created from the resistance of our body weight, and place it onto the chest. So again, we don't want to be protracting too much. We want to keep everything fixed in place. So what I'm going to do, instead of pushing my shoulders forward, I'm going to allow them to just pull back a little bit into this position, right? And then I'm going to make sure that my hands are directly below my chest. I don't want them in front of my chest, because in front of my chest like that, it turns into a bit of a shoulder press. Okay, so hands below chest, pull the shoulders back, and then we're going to lower ourselves, chest to the ground, not face to the ground, chest to the ground. And the most important thing here, we're gonna have the intention of pushing your hands together, okay? As if you're trying to do that, but obviously it's not gonna happen. Okay, down, push the hands together, squeeze your chest as hard as you possibly can do. And then back down again. To make it more effective, I recommend just slowing the tempo down. It's better to do 10 to 15 really slow reps, squeezing the chest, than doing like 20 to 30 rapid, poorly executed press-ups, right? If you want to try and move the tension away a little bit to the upper pec, I recommend you elevate your feet. So put your feet on any kind of elevated surface, such as this. Hands below your chest again. You're going to come down, squeeze the chest, down, squeeze the chest. Try and keep your torso straight. And if you want to hit more of your lower pec, elevate your torso, have your feet a little bit lower. Hands a little bit wider than that. And we'll come down, push, and squeeze. Down, push, squeeze. So that is the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. A couple tips there to help you improve your technique when you're doing some chest exercises on your chest training sessions. My recommendation when it comes to training chest, I would advise maybe picking 3 to 4 chest exercises and maybe adding it with another muscle group, okay? I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing a full session of chest training, might be overdoing it a little bit, but it's really up to you guys and what your training split is. I would also recommend training it at least twice a week, or at least training it every 4 days if it is a weak point of yours and you really want to get it to grow, okay? So thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to give this a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe to the Myprotein YouTube channel. More videos to come. Thank you very much for watching.